Hello YouTube, Tarrker the Newt here. I'm joined with my sidekick Merlin. He had to be a part of this. There was no stopping it. So I'm here to talk about something that matters to me today. Not game related, just me related basically. Where to begin on this subject? Let's just talk about a story I had from the other day. Okay, so I work at a store, a thrift store, resellers. We resell goods that are either donated to us or we buy from other stores. If you're outside the U.S., you might not know what a thrift store is. That's a thrift store. We call it thrift because it's cheap. It's usually, the goods are usually half price or less. Price is a pretty good complaint from a lot of people. Anyway, so we have a policy that we don't hold things at the counter, but in fact most stores won't do that for you. There are very few retail stores, whether they're thrift or otherwise, that will do that. But for some reason, when people come to a thrift store, they're like, oh, this is a big thing. They'll hold it at the counter for me. Why? Why do people persist in this assumption? I really don't get it. When was the last time you went to FYE and were like, here, can you hold this giant Darth Vader mannequin for me? No, you either buy it or it sits on the sales floor. That's how it is. If you haven't paid for it, it's not yours. It belongs to the store. So our policy, we're very big on safety. So anything sitting behind the counter or at the counter that could maybe fall over or get kicked or tripped over is a safety issue and must be removed. Like, I'll get in trouble for that. Like, seriously, I could literally lose my job because people leave shit at the counter. So I found this giant mirror. Like, it's literally a 6-foot tall mirror, a person-sized mirror, leaning up against my counter after I came back from fixing the books. So I'm like, I don't see anybody around. Like nobody's around. There's a few customers in the store, but they're all off somewhere. So I'm like, well, whatever. I'll put it away. Whoever wants it can pick it back up again. Surprise! I get almost to the point of putting it back where it came from, and some dude and his son come flying up on me and are like, that's mine. That's mine. What the hell are you doing? That's mine. And I'm like, I'm not allowed to hold things at the counter. I'm sorry. You could put it in a cart if you want. And it's like, oh, no, it's too big to put in a cart. You fucking expect me to carry this around? I'm like, no, it's company policy. I can't keep things at the register. I have to put it away. And, like, he's just like, it's my personal policy that you don't mess with my shit. And I'm like, whatever, dude. So I walked off. I didn't even say anything. I just shrugged it off, like all retail salespeople do. You just shrug it off. You don't say anything. It's not worth your hassle. He's just a douchebag, and he's gonna do his thing. So anyway, I go back to work in my cart. I have a cart full of stuff that I have to put out onto the shelf, while also, tidying up and rearranging the shelves and helping customers. It's a mess. So anyway, this guy is by the lamps, which is right where my cart is parked, and I'm looking through my stuff, sorting it, checking prices, checking goods, making sure they're not damaged, whatever. And a few minutes pass, like 5-10 minutes pass, and this dude just turns around and is like, what did he call me? Cousin. Yeah, he was like, what up, cousin Nate? What can I do for you? And I was like, what? Did you need something? And he's like, no, you're the one who needs something. I'm like, I do? Like, I'm sorry, what's the matter? And he's just like, well, what's up, cousin Nate? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, working? And this dude thought I was following him around. And I didn't even realize. I was so out of it. Like, my brain was full of numbers and shelf stocking information, and I was in work mode. I wasn't even registering what was going on. I had no idea. Plus, I hadn't slept for a long time. Like, I didn't get enough sleep that night. I'm having health problems. But anyway, so this guy he goes back to shopping shopping for lamps, I guess, and I didn't think much of it. I continued what I was doing, and then he was like, "Okay, we're ready to check out," and I was like, "Okay." And so I came up to the register, and I rang up his stuff, and it was then that he was like, "Oh, you were following me around, and now you're trying to help me," because I gave him a discount on an item that was on sale. You know, it was a discounted item, and he's like, "Oh, you're trying to help me out now. I thought you were following me around and stuff." I was being nice because my son's with me, and I'm like, "What? What do you mean I was following?" So apparently, this is complete news to me. The area I live in, well, okay, I'm not going to go into that, but I don't generally see things like race or gender too well. Like, a lot of people, that's all they see is your race and your gender. Like, that's it. You know, you're defined by those things, apparently. Not me. I judge people based on the content of their character, to quote Martin Luther King, because that's what I know, because that's what makes you who you are. But apparently this guy thinks I was following him around. And no, let me back up. No, apparently this is a thing. I had no idea. A white store clerks following not white customers around because they think they're stealing things, I guess. I don't know. All the videos and reference I've seen on the internet is pretty fucking sketchy. Like, I saw this one from some black kid in New York. Cattail. From some black kid in New York who said a store clerk was following him around. But looking at the different pictures, it looks like she was just doing her nightly duties. Like, she was cleaning out the different collection trays for the drink fountains, and he's like, "Oh, she's following me around." And it's like, well, maybe. I don't know. What do I know? I wasn't there. Maybe that was, but that's like every video I've seen is just like store clerks doing their duties, and here's these people being like, "Oh, they're following me around. Aren't these white people racist?" Like, boy, oh boy, if that's your definition of racism, oh boy, you need to go back in time a little bit. I think Chris Rock said it best. The most racist person you'll find is old black men, you know, because they know what real racism is, you know, not that I can't get a cab shit, you know, white man jumped on his back and he was the cab, you know, that's racism, not. I don't want to say that. That's so stupid. Like, you can't define it. It's such a moving target. But I would argue that people who go and say or do things based on what they think you're doing because of your race is racism. Like, he assumes I'm following him around because I'm a white guy and white guys are racist. That's racism! Isn't that racism? Like, isn't that... I mean, I don't know. It's pretty mundane. It didn't hurt me any. The guy just kind of made an ass of himself. It didn't hurt me none. I honestly, I didn't even register what was going on until the guy left and it was all gone. I was like, oh, wait a minute. I was following him around? This was me after he left, and I was like, following him around? Does he... Wait, he thought oh, and it clicked. It was like, oh, he thought that because I'm white and he's not, I thought he was gonna switch tags or steal something or something. The guy, I don't even know what nationality he was. Vaguely Hispanic. His son was very visually white. I don't know what he was expecting from me. Maybe it's the area. I'm in a very rural area, which is ironic because a lot of people come from the city and expect racism, so they find it because they're expecting it. But people here are very accepting. Like, they're very non-judgmental, if that makes sense. They tend to judge you on things besides your race. Like, your choice of hobby is a big one. I used to get the shit kicked out of me because I played Dungeons and Dragons. Like, that's devil worship around here, you know. Being gay. Yeah, gay people are looked down upon a lot around here. It has to do with religion, and that's another thing. Religion's a strong point around here. People want you to be Christian, but even then, a lot of people, like especially more well-known religions like Islam or especially Judaism, are pretty widely accepted. Actually, people don't really look down on you for being a different religion so much anymore. Ironically, what they do down on you for is turning your back on your own religion, because if you're a devil worshiper or just seen as one, that's usually the case. They just see you as a devil worshiper when you're not. I mean, I'm very much a Christian, but that's turning your back on Christianity. That's the bad thing. So I don't know. How did I get to this point? I don't even know. This shit confuses the hell out of me. I'm just venting and telling you guys what happened in my life, and it's bizarre. Like oh boy, like in the middle of the summer, a couple months ago, there was a guy from Reading, Philadelphia. I can't remember. We have these cards that you can get that give you access to the store sales, and they have your name, phone number, address. Too much information, to be quite honest. But there's a reason for that. It's because people who are thieves and stuff like that, it lets us keep track of them. The police will sometimes come in looking for somebody, and we can be like, oh yeah, here's their rewards card account. This is their address. But yeah, okay. So this guy came in from Philly or Reading. I can't remember. It was some big city nearby, not that far from me. And his kid was looking at video games, and he was cool. Like I was getting to know his kid. Kid was like 11, 12, and he liked FPS games, like first-person shooters, like Call of Duty, Modern Warfare. He liked those kinds of games, but he was more interested in strategy games that made you think. And he even said that. He says, I want games that are going to make me think a little more. And that was just like, yeah, I'm totally a PC gamer. So when a kid comes in looking for games like that, I'm like, yeah, let me use my brain knowledge here to help you find something that you might not otherwise know about, because I'm a PC gamer, I see that all the time on like Steam, Good Old Games, what's Origin, what the fuck ever, you know what I mean. I see it more than a console gamer might. So I'm in a unique position to help this kid out, and we were talking and having a good time and getting to know each other, and he's got this stack of games sitting next to him that he's been looking at, and I'm like, okay, well, I guess we'll have to wait for your dad. And he's like, yeah, I gotta wait for my dad, because he'll either tell me no, or maybe he'll let me pick one or the other. And I'm like, okay, so these are good. And he has like a little stack, like 6 or 7 games that he was interested in. He wanted to ask his dad about. And when his dad comes in, I'm like, okay, so this is the point at which I sell the games and I put them back in the case. So we have this policy where we check all the cases, regardless of reason. We just check them. First, we check to make sure that they are in there, and that they are what's supposed to be in there. Then we check the disc itself. Wait, no. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Okay, we check to make sure that they're in there. Then we check to make sure that it's what's supposed to be in there, and then I check the disc to make sure there's no deep gouges. Scratches are usually good. Dirt is fine. No big deal, depending on the console. But if they're deep gouges, they get sent to salvage, and we don't sell them because they're no good. Either way, we have a return policy. Anyway, that's what we do every time. If you take the games or the movies out of the case, you check them every time for that exact reason, and it's really to protect our customers. It's also to protect ourselves, so we don't have to deal with returns unless it's necessary, and it's a good policy. So anyway, oh my God, you can probably guess what's happening. This guy comes in and he sees me checking the cases, and he just immediately gets like flustered immediately, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I didn't get past reason one. I was like, I'm just checking the cases to make sure that they're in there, and that's as far as I got. He's like, what the fuck do you mean? What do you think my kid's doing? You know, what do you think, he's some magician or warlock or some shit? You're watching him this whole time. You think he's gonna fucking sleight of hand that shit out of the case? I'm like, no, it's just store policy. And he's like, well, your store policy sucks, and I'm getting the fuck out of here. You're a fucking racist. And I was like, dude, calm down. And he's like walking by the counter, and I'm like, oh my god, like, what is wrong with this guy? Like, what happened? And I mean, yeah, I'm pissed off because that's racism towards me, obviously, but that's not what upsets me. What upsets me is, oh my god, like, what happened in this guy's life that this is how he views people? Like what happened to him that he sees this happening, and it's just like, damn. I feel bad for the kid. The kid walked out with no games. And those are cheap, man. Like some of those were unopened, and they were like, fucking phone. Some of those were cheap. Like they were $2.97 for unopened, brand new games. And that poor kid. It just. So that's my stories for the day. I'll end it there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have anything to ask me or say anything, please do so down below in the comments. I love talking to people, even if you fucking hate me. I love talking to everybody. Discussion is great. It's what makes us human. Thanks.